From Pioneer to Protester, 100 Years on the Bulga Plateau by Deb Pugh of Elands, 2429. Narrated by Janine Penfold. Granny's house has to be sold, but first it has to be emptied. Granny is ancient, and she lived in that house for 65 years. She and Pa moved there when Nana was a baby. Nana was once a baby. Imagine that. We are sifting through Granny's life. We did the garage last week. It was filled with all kinds of junk, including dead appliances and broken toys. Many have been returned to the boxes that they came in, carefully preserved in disrepair. There are rusted garden tools, and many show the signs of Pa's repairs. We even found old Uncle Cole's train set. The engine was burnt out, but there were 3 carriages and plenty of track. Mum took it to the Folk Museum in Wingham, and now it has pride of place in the front window. There were piles of shoeboxes, each filled with squares of fabric. Nana explained to me that they were pieces salvaged from worn-out clothes, and Granny would use them to patch other garments. Granny is fine. She is down the road in the nursing home opposite the pub. It seems that she could pack her nicest things and leave. None of her clothes are patched, and she did not take one shoebox with her. I don't get how that works. Now, everything she needs fits in one little room. Today we are working on the house. Mum and Nana are in Granny's bedroom, tackling the wardrobe, and I can hear them laughing as they unearth another of Granny's unfinished projects. It seems that Granny was better at starting things than finishing them, but she could not throw them away. I am going through the cupboard in the dining room. A whole drawer is full of those leaflet things they give out at funerals. It's a bit creepy, all the pictures of dead people, but it's okay, because I don't know them. They are not my people. I flatten them all out and put them in the recycling box with what seems to be every bill Granny has ever received. The next drawer is more interesting. There are photos in albums and loose. I like photos, and some of the old ones are funny. There are pictures of Mum and Uncle Chris growing up, with and without front teeth. Many I have seen before. There is a bundle of school photos from the 1960s and 1970s. In each picture, a child sits in the middle of the front row with a sign that reads Elands Public School and includes the year and grade. They must be Nana and Uncle Cole's, but I can't recognise anyone, and there are no names. There are even older photos. Some are tiny and an odd brown and yellow colour. They are mostly taken at Cornerstone, but it is hard to make much out. The landscape looks weird and unfamiliar. Where there are gardens and fruit trees now, instead is a stark, clear-felled paddock carved out of a forest that looks like a jungle. We were there only a few weeks ago, joining in a protest to save Bulga Forest. But what we want to save doesn't look like that. I have never seen trees that look like that. Dad and Uncle Chris were arrested for disrupting forestry. Even Nana is involved. We painted signs and marched to show our support. I like it when we sing the forest songs. I find an ancient charcoal drawing of a girl who looks like me, and I gasp in surprise and say her name aloud. Connie. And I know her, though we never met. She is Granny's mum, and apparently I am her dead spit, whatever that means. There is a book with a yellowish cardboard cover and a font that looks like a typewriter. It is titled Pioneering from My Angle. My grandmother's grandmother wrote the book, and I'm reading it. How many greats is that? I am ready to be swept off into the past. It's a good story, but the delivery is the pits. I am reading more about what people ate and owned than what they saw and felt. The story is stiff and contrived, but it's about Cornerstone and Elands, and I'm starting to imagine her life. She came to Australia from London over 100 years ago, when she was a bit younger than I am now. They spent 6 weeks at sea, and when they arrived in Sydney, they stayed only one night before starting the trip up the Bulga. I'm trying to imagine how that must have felt. They probably would have been homesick and afraid if they weren't so busy working to stay alive. No internet to help them keep in touch. I skim through the little booklet, pausing at each image. The photos are pulling me in where the writing cannot. I see images of the waterfall and the rapids and Blue Knob in the distance, rising above the other hills. I see 2 young men with a long saw that has handles on each end, and they are carving through trees that are as wide as a car. In one, Connie is lying flat on the stump. It must be 2 metres wide. I have never seen trees that big. In recent months, on the Bulga Plateau, protesters have been chaining themselves to massive machines that clear acres of trees in a matter of hours. It would take the young men in Connie's book years to do that. It is mind-numbing to think of the difference. I feel a wash of sadness and a longing for a life I never knew, a life where simple things were filled with potential, broken things were repaired, and forests did not need to be saved. I realise that, in just over 100 years, we have transitioned from pioneers to protesters. The end.